this is about Zio. Is that how you pronounce it?
Yes.
Okay. And this question is about schooling for him. Mom provided really good background for us, so that we kind of know and understand kind of like, oh, where the child is today and everything. So some of the background includes that, oh, certain stereotypical behaviors right now are that the child's currently showing, including jumping on the sofa, screaming while singing, and general decrease in eye contact. And there's a lot of time that he still spaces out. And generally, Zio doesn't play well with any peers. However, there's usually one peer that he might play with. Zio enjoys playing tag with his family and other close adults. So the child can hardly color or draw, and they currently live in Dubai. And the child's going to go to an international school for 6-year-olds. Through therapy, the child's cognition has improved by a lot. He can imitate sentences, make requests, understands numbers and letters, imitate big muscle movements, and he's still kind of working on the small muscle movements himself. The child also enjoys imitating facial expressions, is good with just drawing lines or tracing simple shapes. Pretty good at following instructions as well. Overall, pretty good with potty training, except he needs assistance wiping. And he can catch a ball that's thrown to him and kick a soccer ball. However, the child will only do all of these skills with the therapist or with family. Now, why all that information matters is because they had a school screening on 6/14, and the child didn't answer any of the questions that they knew the answers to. Now, luckily, he actually did read aloud all the alphabet. So they're letting him go to that school with the condition that a shadow, a one-to-one, has to accompany him there. Another condition that they placed on it was that if her child failed to keep up with his class, she'd have to move out, go to a different school. Right, so mom is very confused about what to do. Will my child even do well at this school? Even though the school accepted my child, they already let me know that they're going to kick him out if he can't keep up. So should I really let him go to a school that already has had that hanging over him? Is it even better for us to just not even go to the school and put him in a school for special education or a different type of class where it's more integrated, where you can have both kids with autism and other kids in there? I can only speak from my experience in the US, because I don't know the exact educational system in Korea, and I definitely don't know the educational system in Dubai. Okay. What I can tell you from my long years of experience is that most special ed programs suck. Most of the special ed programs I've had experience with, they're just babysitting. They're just like, okay, we're just here. They're not really pushing your child. They're not really trying to advance anything. And most of my experience is like, oh, it's never really a great placement. The other thing that I've had experience with is like, for the kids that I've had experience going to kind of special ed programs, what tends to happen is most of my kids still pick up all the bad behaviors other kids demonstrate. So whereas my kid didn't cuss before, he learned to cuss in special ed. Oh, where they didn't engage in this inappropriate behavior. Oh, guess where they picked it up? By other kids in special education. Now, in general, no matter what level of functioning my child's at, I actually don't care. I'm going to send them to a general education, regular classroom with support from one of my staff. And my reason is this, okay? The thing is, special ed will always be available for your child, however old that they get, okay? Regular education, being among normal developing kids, it's going to be a short window depending on your child, okay? And for myself, especially when language and when interaction, socialization, play, all that stuff are emerging in the child learning to copy other people, the child learning to interact with other people, it's vital that they get surrounded by models that are going to show them the right way to behave, by models that show them the right way to go about doing things. And nothing substitute having really good peer models. Like I said, I don't know what the educational system looks like elsewhere outside of my area, but I can tell you most of the time I'm just gonna go and default to better to go with a shadow to a regular classroom because they're gonna be surrounded by all the right models of behavior, of language, of all those kind of things. And the thing is, like I said, special education is most likely going to be available at any time for his life. So you want him to stay in an environment that's going to promote the right type of growth. Now, one last point before I move on. At younger ages, all kids are weird. Okay, they're all weird at that young age. Okay, and so the younger that they start the schooling, the generally more accepted they're going to be. Why? Because, oh, I see you hit. Well, I've hit at my home. Oh, I see you throw yourself on the ground and scream and cry and do all that kind of stuff. Well, yeah, I've done that too. And kids are just very forgiving at that age where, like, oh, 1 second you're upset and the next second you're happy with the person. So there's a lot more flexibility with their behaviors at that age than when they get to like third and fourth grade, where they're more cognizant of differences, and then you start to make fun of other people even for differences that you have. And so and then it gets more and more complicated trying to integrate them, trying to do all that stuff than when they're younger.